Greetings and salutations of peace. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself for this time. We call it the Holy Master Blaster Jamin. That introduction is currently 34 years of age. Now, most black people in cyberspace or they have a street culture or gang mentality. If you're not from the same street, you are not welcome. You don't accept truth. You like sensationalism. Let's say you're standing on your corner. Cyberspace is actually your corner. If someone enters you don't recognize or he don't have the same vibratory signature as you, now the average person wouldn't come up to you and say, doesn't have the same vibratory signature as you. What in the hell is he talking about, vibratory signature? But yet, if a person has been peer-reviewed, let's say, peer-reviewed, and accepted by the empire, then you would gravitate to that person or listen to that person. But I want to tell you something about yourself. Imagine me as a mirror, which I am. Basically, there's fantastic information that's millions of miles above your head that you really need to hear, but you're hooked on sensationalism. There is good cannabis in the world, but you're hooked on the trash you get from the corner stores, the dispensaries. I stopped years ago because the dispensaries are no good, and self-control is a thing, but we're not going to get too deep into that. I want to get straight to the point here. We're going to start off talking about regurgitation. I'm going to give you some good information that you really need at this time, 2026, the time of the Great Reset. You have been regurgitating information, and that's all you do. None of you know the truth. You talk about things you don't know anything about. We're going to get into that too. In this context, regurgitating information refers to the act of mindlessly repeating, retelling, or spreading information, often inaccurate or false, without understanding, verifying, or analyzing it. I coined a phrase in the early 80s. Evil is oftentimes ignorance, not knowing itself to be so. Over the years, I added often, but I said oft, which was very poetic, being I am a poet. Evil is oftentimes ignorance, not knowing itself to be so. Now, being a poet, to express what I just told you, I took a haiku from the master Basho. Old mossy pond, frog jumping in, splash. Or old mossy pond, frog jumping in, the sound of water. I am the journalist, independent journalist, Ital Iman, and you are now in tune. It is a metaphor, regurgitating. It is a metaphor for a cycle of ignorance where individuals acting like birds pass semi-digested data directly into the minds of others. The metaphor, bird-like behavior. The term draws a direct parallel to how birds feed their young. You are now in tune. Birds consume food, particularly, i.e., partially digested it, and then bring it back up, regurgitate, to feed their chicks. They take it in, they consume it, and they partially digest it, and then bring it back up to feed their chicks. Now, this is a metaphor. Humans consume opinions or information without deep analysis and then regurgitate that same information to others, often verbatim. Like a bird, the individual acts as a conduit rather than an analyzer. The information is not fully digested or understood before being passed on. So, let's look at accepting and passing on false information. Passive reception is called. People often accept and spread misinformation without malice, simply because they have not verified it or have heard it from a trusted but wrong source. There's something happening in the world right now that's very important, and it's very deep. It's the most profound thing that you will ever hear in time. But I'm not from your zip code. I'm a spiritual traveler of this world, and I come to let you know that music is the key to life, as color is to broken light. So is sound to broken movement. The prophet has said already, we free our people with music, but we're not going to get into that. You can come check my workout, and you will know exactly what the Master Blaster is all about. But we're going to be dealing with the cycle of ignorance. Repetition is key to this cycle. When an idea is repeated frequently, whether true or not, it begins to sound like truth. So we have all the Rod Hayes out there, the Billy Carsons, the blah, 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 and the Ray. So people often regurgitate in an attempt to be part of the group. Hear me now. Spreading information that seems believable, but it's actually false. I am breaking down the walls of illusion that you contemplate the reality of right information, or you explore the practicality of new information. So what you're doing is called parroting. This behavior is similar to parroting, echoing, or reciting without comprehension. I've preached about the message in the music, and this is called ethnomusicology, and we have black ethnomusicologists, but they're not into what's happening truly in the music. Most of them are gay, homosexual, lesbian, so don't have time to delve into the reality. They love to regurgitate or play games, and the ignorant ones look up to them because they have been accepted by the empire. So, it is my desire to give you the context of information disorder. This behavior contributes to information disorder, where fake news or misinformation spread rapidly through social media or social groups. The individuals doing the regurgitating are often unaware they are spreading wrong information, as they have not engaged in critical thinking to check the facts. Here are some key implications. Lack of original thought. Yes. It highlights a failure of original thought. Rote memorization and repetition. In education, this means memorizing facts for an exam without truly learning the material. So you can become a PhD, and all you've done is remembered what you were told by the empire with no life experience. Oh, ITAR is not peer reviewed. I don't give a damn about being peer reviewed. The revolution is not being televised. The revolution is telepathic. So people get emotional satisfaction from regurgitation. They're not original thinkers. They want you to believe they're original thinkers, but they're basically regurgitating. People tend to regurgitate information that feels emotional, satisfying, or simply to understand rather than challenge it, which can create a vicious cycle of ignorance. And speaking of original thinkers, right now in South Africa, as a matter of fact, I have a book out called The Holy Book of Wonder. Maybe one person bought that book. Bought. Yeah, I think bought is a correct word. Purchased. Okay, that's better. Purchased the book. They run copies off and they sell them to other people. That's okay. I'm not going to get into that. But it has become an echo chamber. This is perhaps the most common metaphor for how misinformation becomes trapped and reinforced. So I know just what I just said makes me seem like I'm angry, but I'm really not angry because I'm satisfied in the knowing that I know exactly the hour that we stand in. And most of you playing games are not aware, but you want to sound like you know something. And everybody have this Messiah complex. They want to be the one that bring you certain information and woo and wow everybody. But it's totally ignorance, brothers and sisters, because the sky is falling. The poles are shifting. The mothership is really on its way. That's something that we say. Even George Clinton said, but he don't believe it. He takes it as Afrofuturism, and by him being a part of the Boule, he denies that there's a mothership. Oh, I was just high when I said that, but we're going to show you something here. So, the concept, much like the acoustic room where sound bounces back to the source, an echo chamber is an environment where you can only encounter information that reflects and reinforce your own belief, the echo chamber. So how does this work? In these spaces, dissenting voices are minimized by actively included because you hear the same echo over and over. It creates a distorted sense of certainty and makes you more likely to overestimate how many others share your views. So this is called the blind leading the blind. This is a very ancient metaphor, directly addresses the cycle of ignorance. Evil is oftentimes ignorance, not knowing itself to be so. That's a great and true concept. It describes a situation where a person ignorant of the subject gets advice or information from someone just as ignorant. We always talk about we are great, we were this and we were that, and we are the originals. But now that you find love, what now are you going to do with it? We know we're great. We know we're the first people here. We don't have to argue about it. So you like arguing, you like that you like that energy. That's evil. You're feeding off of conflict. And you're always talking about we were this and we were that. And then a white person challenging you, you start arguing. You don't have to argue with them. It's the fight is over. We know who we are. We know where we come from and we know where we're going. So it's time to get off that endless wheel of ignorance. So this highlights the danger of inexperienced people guiding others who are equally clueless, often resulting in everyone falling into a ditch of false belief. If you are a god, then act like a god. So we had this massive digital wildfire where everything is helter-skelter in cyberspace. This modern metaphor focuses on the speed and destructive nature of misinformation. So here's the concept. Events where information or rumors spread rapidly, amplified by the power of social media, are known as digital wildfires. How does it work? Like a fire in a dry forest, misinformation provides the fuel, intentional engagement that allows a small flame to finally engulf the entire forest. So it becomes information laundering. This metaphor draws a parallel between disinformation and financial crime. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself. You know, we have some real demons in the world. You don't really understand it. So we are bringing out some information called the Banneker Code, where it shows you, places you in a seat with acclimated eyes in the theater, that you see the real power of the empire, and you see the real evil of your leaders, the people that you follow, these cultic religious organizations, these cultic content presenters. You will be surprised. So this information laundering involves inserting small amounts of false information into many different places to make it appear legitimate. How does it work? Just as money, it moves through various accounts to hide its criminal origin. False stories are passed through various channels until the original untrustworthy source is hidden. So social media is constantly retweeting as bird calls. Research has actually studied how birds themselves handle fake news. The concept, some birds, like the hatchets, pay attention to the source of the information before passing along the alarm call. Passing along a false alarm without verifying it firsthand is biological equivalent of retweeting fake news. Now, hold tight. We're going to get into this misinformation on the live side. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself of this time. We call it the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. I am Ital Iman. I am a mirror. Look into me and you will see yourself. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself. The biblical Hebrew Merkavah is a concrete noun. If you ask an ancient Israelite what is Merkavah, they wouldn't point to their heart or an energy field. They would point to a physical wooden chariot with wheels, axles, and driver. The root RKB, arkub, the verb root means to mount and ride an object. You ride orokeb, a horse or a chariot. In Hebrew grammar, You don't ride your own body. You ride a separate external vehicle. In a military context, in most every Old Testament appearance, like in Exodus or Kings, Merkaba refers to the high-tech hardware of the day, war chariots. When the text applies this same word to the Elohim, the most consistent literal reading is that they are using their own version of high-tech hardware. The wheels, Ophanim, in Ezekiel's vision, he describes the Merkabah as having physical components, wheels, rims, and eyes, which some literalists interpret as rivets of lights. A meditation body doesn't have mechanical rims or a chassis. The modern Merkaba, light spirit body breakdown, is a blank formation. It's essentially folk etymology and ignores the actual Hebrew grammar to fit a New Age narrative. Now, most of you who talks about the Merkaba have never experienced it, but yet you swear on your grandmother's grave that it's a reality. You are regurgitators. You have no experience. Now, how many of you have actually traveled through your light body and know how to assemble the Merkaba? Not a damn one of you. So look at Ezekiel 1 and 10 here. The multi-directional machine. While the word Merkaba itself doesn't appear in Ezekiel 1, this is the foundational text for the concept. The description is of a complex physical structure with specific mechanical features. Wheel within wheels. Ophan. As for the appearance, the structure of the wheels, their appearance and construction being as it were a wheel within a wheel. Yes, I am. Ezekiel 1:16. This describes an omnidirectional movement capability that modern engineers have compared to robotic wheels. The chassis platform above the creatures and wheels was a vault or expanse that looked like awesome crystal. Ezekiel 1:22, serving as a solid floor for the throne. Physical sound, the roar of rushing waters and the noise of an army. Ezekiel 1:24 suggests a massive, audible physical presence, not a silent inner meditation. Karma, my light body. Oh, I have evolved unto the stage of utilizing my light body to travel to search. You're lying. You never get activated any light body. Isaiah 66 verse 15, high-speed aerial vehicle. Check it. In this verse, the prophet uses the word Merkavah in the plural to describe a physical, swift arrival of the divine. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let us ride. Okay, look. For behold, the Lord will come in fire, and his chariots. Merkavah, Merkavota, Merkavota, like the whirlwind. Isaiah 66:15. Literal point here, the comparison to a whirlwind emphasizes speed and propulsion. In an ancient context, these were the fastest physical things known, not a metaphor for a body, but a description of swift transport. You are mere regurgitators. This has become famous. Brothers trying to sound profound and deep, talking about utilizing a Merkaba. Oh, we don't need ships. We're the black gods. We don't need ships. We have our Merkaba. How many of you have used your Merkaba? You know how you turn your Merkaba on? No. Psalm 68, verse 17, this mass fleet. This verse highlights that the Merkaba is part of a literal fleet or core rather than a single personal energy field. The Lord will return with all of his host. The text says, the chariots of God are tens of thousands, thousands upon thousands. Psalm 68:17. Literal point, the use of rekhev, a collective noun for military chariotry, signifies hardware in numbers, the Lord and his host Anunnaki. The verse describes a massive military-style mobilization of vehicles at Sinai, reinforcing the idea of an external force of transport, the Igigi, black warriors, ancient black warriors. So, in Kings, 2 Kings 2:11, the material extraction, the chariots of fire, Rekhev-ish, that took Elijah is perhaps the most literal example of a vehicle performing physical function. The text says, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared, and Elijah went up in a whirlwind into heaven. 2 Kings 2:11. The literal point. This was an external object that separated two people physically. It acted as a craft for extraction and transport from earth to another location. So, the Hebrew text consistently treats the Merkaba as an object one rides, Rekhev, has construction details, Mash, and functions as a military-grade transport for the Elohim, Anunnaki. A modern bodycraft idea requires ignoring the grammatical fact that the Merkaba is always something external to the being using it. You have to look at the Hebrew root of these things to understand it, as a Bible is oftentimes allegories, metaphors, and similes. Every noun has a deeper level of meaning. So, the Hebrew root is a powerful linguistic tool that I'm using here for my rebuttal of the ones who have changed the text of the Merkaba, which is a literal spacecraft. So the verb rakaba does not mean to move. It specifically means to be positioned upon or to mount something. Scholars note that rakaba often implies the act of going up onto an object. You don't go up onto your own spirit or body. You go up onto a separate seat, animal, or chariot. So here are the external requirements. Because a verb describes one thing sitting on top of another, it logically requires two separate entities: the subject, the one who rides, and the object, the thing being written. So this relationship is transitive. Linguistically, rakab is a transitive verb, meaning it takes a direct object, the thing you are riding. So in the Hebrew Bible, when someone rakab, he rides, they ride upon a horse, a mule, or a Merkavah. The user is separate. If the Merkaba were simply the person's own body or light field, the grammar would have to be reflective, something you do to yourself. Instead, the Bible always uses the active causative stems, or to show a person or the Elohim being placed onto or into a vehicle. Because Hebrew is a root-based language. All words sharing must share the core physical writing concept. Two specific examples exposes the internal body theory as a misconception. The writer, millstone, rekeb. The same root is used to describe the upper stone of a grain grinder. It is called a rekeb because it rides physically on top of the stationary bottom stone. This is a purely mechanical, heavy physical relationship. The charioteer, rakab, this is a specific job title for driver. A rakab is a pilot who operates the hardware, just as a pilot is not the airplane. The rakab is not the Merkaba. You are now in 2. So the being, Elohim, is the plug, and the Merkaba is the socket. There are two distinct pieces of hardware that must be joined for travel to occur. You are now in 2. On the one, that's what that means, on the one, when you're getting information directly from the source code, from the Banneker grid. So, to better understand how Hebrew roots like rakab function as a building blocks of these literal descriptions, so we have to look at certain analysis. So I'm going to give you an analysis here that hopefully blow the roof off the sucker, blow the roof off your mind, because there's something happening now in the space called 3i Atlas, and we wish to reveal to you what is truly going on, void of your ignorance, void of your whatever it may be that's stopping you from associating with your brother who's really one of you, but just because I wasn't born on 33rd and Vine and we didn't sling rock together and you never see my face on the block, we have a lot in common. But the thing about it is that you're not real. You talk about, and you sisters, I gotta say this right quick because I want to get into what we got to talk about here. You sisters, why you gotta celebrate your 7-day juice fast with your belly all out and you're looking good, you're slim, but why you gotta come out twerking? I just did 2 or 3 days of juice fast. What are you trying to do? Sell your body just because you did a 30-day juice fast? That means you clean enough to eat? You are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time. We call the Holy Master Blaster Jimmy. Hold tight, sister. I'll be right back. Alrighty then, here is the essence of this discourse, and I must tell you that this is a download from the 2026 Ramadan, the night of power, March 26, 2026. I am Ital Imam. You are now in tune. Here is a metaphor between three-eye Atlas and Jupiter. The trajectory and the myth, the connection between three-eye Atlas, the third ever detected interstellar object, and Jupiter provides a striking modern metaphor for the ancient myth. In this contemporary retelling, the physical trajectory of the object and the massive gravity of the planet mirror the power dynamic of the original gods Anunnaki. Yesaya, the burden of the hill radius. In the myth, Jupiter, Zeus, condemned Atlas to hold up the celestial vault at the edge of the world. The metaphor, modern astrophysics, most notably Avi Loeb, have highlighted that three-eye Atlas trajectory brought it exactly to the hill radius of Jupiter, the theoretical boundary where a planet's gravity begins to dominate over the sun's. The connection. Just as the mythical Atlas was forced to stand at the boundary of earth and heaven, the object three-eye Atlas skirted the precise gravitational border of Jupiter's domain. Loeb has used this to theorize that the object might be an interstellar gardener or probe designed to park or release daughter objects at that specific boundary. The control trajectory versus divine will. May we peep? In the myth, Atlas' fate was not random. It was a calculated sentence imposed by Jupiter to maintain cosmic order. Let's view the metaphor. Observers have noted that three-eye Atlas' trajectory appeared finely tuned. It experienced non-gravitational acceleration, small pushes not caused by gravity that nudged it towards Jupiter. The connection? While mainstream science attributes this to natural outgassing, the precision of its path towards the gas giant has led to metaphors of a guided craft or a mission. In this view, three-eye Atlas isn't just a wandering rock. It is an entity responding to the will, i.e. gravity, of the solar system's king, Jupiter, the ancient witness. Mythological Atlas was a titan, an ancient being who existed before the Olympian gods. The metaphor, three-eyed Atlas, is estimated to be between 3 and 14 billion years old, potentially making it older than the sun and the oldest comet ever seen. This tells us that these people who control three-eyed Atlas are the gods, the ones who came to earth and terraformed it. The connection. When three-eyed Atlas passed Jupiter on March 16, 2026, it was a literal meeting between one of the oldest known individuals in the galaxy and the king of our planetary system. This echoes the mythic meeting of the ancient Titan and the reigning Olympian. March 16, this is Ramadan. Ramadan Supreme. Ramadan Mubarak. You are now in tune on the One, the Force itself. I am Ibtal Iman. The grandfather and the scout Zeus. In mythology, Atlas is the grandfather of Mercury, the messenger, through his daughter Maya. The metaphor, as three-eyed Atlas moved toward Jupiter, it is greeted and imaged by the JUICE, Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer spacecraft, which was en route to study the Jovian system. Did you hear that? There is a satellite called JUICE. The connection. JUICE acted as the modern messenger, capturing the first high detail image of the interstellar traveler, three-eyed Atlas. The data is sent back, provided the first communication from the visitor, mirroring how Mercury often acted as the bridge between the Titans and the Olympians. So here is this metaphor of a Greek myth being played out in real time. And the empire looks at it as mere coincidence. Astrophysicist says three-eyed Atlas will deploy probes near Jupiter. That was in Vice. Now, November 26, 2025, astrophysicist claims three-eyed Atlas will deploy probes near Jupiter. So, this is a very rare encounter, how Zeus came to observe three-eyed Atlas. March 23, 2026, what follows was a race against time, an uninspected visitor. Mars and Jupiter's mission observed comet three-eyed Atlas on 1 July. Then you had the European Space Agency. They said, snap, wow. Jupiter spacecraft captured a brand new image of three-eyed Atlas, December 8, 2025. So they're capturing all this divine drama. So they know it's happening, but to them, it's coincidental. So they're referring to the scientific and governmental establishment. They're just saying, wow, this is just a coincidence, but there's a divine drama happening, and it's sending a message to you. This thing is older than the earth, older than life itself. These are the creator gods. So when it passed by Jupiter, the gravity of Jupiter was just, okay, it's headed out. But there's something mystical that's happening, something divine that's happening. The gravity of Jupiter has this slingshot effect. It's not going out, it's going to head back to Earth. But you regurgitators won't see it because you're hearing what they want, what they want you to hear. And your Merkaba is not functional, and you're not really in tune with the force. And you didn't even realize this drama is playing out, and that three-eye Atlas is speaking to you. You don't have to listen to the white man to tell you what the news is. If your Merkaba is working, if you're really woke, you will be in tune on the one, the force itself. At this time, we call it the Holy Master Blaster Janet. So twerk your little butts on over here, your little 3-day juice fast and your 3rd-day juice fast, and twerk your butts on over here to my page. And start studying some of this stuff over here. You're now in tune on the one, the force itself. At this time, we call it the Holy, the Master Blaster Janet. Years up.